just taken delivery of a thing, a book. I'm going to show it to you. You ready? This is exciting. Okay. Crime and Punishment. Fyodor Dostoevsky. A brand new one, ordered from BookShop.org. Oh, do you do that? Do you sniff your books? I just love the smell of a paperback. Right, this book is a special book. I read it, well, first of all, I read it when I was at uni, St Andrews University, 1995 maybe? I can't remember exactly what year I was in when I read it. And did I write an essay on it? Can't remember that either. I think I did an exam question rather than an essay. And this one is a new translation by Roger Cockrell. When was it published? 2022 and reprinted 2023. So it's a brand new translation. It's had some good reviews online, and I thought I would get it and read it, obviously. I actually read it in December last year. I bought it for my daughter's boyfriend when I went over to Ardrossan to visit Seahorse Books, which is a beautiful little bookshop, which is also part of bookshop.org. They're on there. And I went in because I was waiting on the ferry and I had some time to kill. But I'd said when I went in, right, I'm not going to buy any books. As I was browsing, I found a really nice cloth-bound copy of Crime and Punishment. And I had been looking for it for a while in used bookshops. I wanted specifically to get a used one because that's generally how I roll. I buy used books off of Abe or World of Books. And they had this hardback, cloth-bound, Penguin, I think. And it was expensive. And I thought, I'm not buying that. And they also had Brothers Karamazov, paperback copy. It's the Pevere and Volokonsky translation. The Crime and Punishment was the Magarshak translation. So I picked up Brothers Karamazov because I'd been looking at that for a while as well. And I thought, paperback, it's not so expensive, maybe I could justify that. Then I had a brainwave. Last year we bought my daughter's boyfriend The Name of the Rose, Umberto Eco. And I thought, why not make this a tradition? Surely I could justify this purchase by buying it for him. So that's what I did. I bought it for him. My daughter was coming back in the next 5 days, and I thought, I wonder if there's a chance I could read this before she gets back. And there wasn't. But I got COVID, ferries were cancelled. Those two things meant that my daughter decided not to come back for Christmas, but instead to come back for New Year. So she went to her boyfriend's for Christmas. That gave me loads of time to read the book, and that's what I did. And I absolutely loved it. I hadn't read it in, when would the mid-90s be? 30 years-ish, roughly. So a long time. And when I first read it, I would have been in my early 20s. Not quite ready for it, I don't think. This time, though, I was more than ready, and I loved it. Now, to move on to something else I want to do with this book. I want to read it in the original language, in the Russian. The reason for that is, well, it's something I would love to do and have wanted to do for a long time, but just never thought. I thought it was too heavy a lift. It's too difficult a task. It would take too long. My Russian is rusty as hell. I haven't used it since when I moved to Scotland, 2008. Before that I worked as a translator, so, I was I was using it a lot, but I wasn't living in a Russian-speaking country, I wasn't conversing with anyone, so it had already started to atrophy, even though I was working as a translator, because when you work as a translator, you might not know this, but you tend to focus on specific genre or themes. So you're not getting a wide coverage of the language unless you're actively listening to news, watching television, reading newspapers, all that stuff, reading novels. I wasn't doing any of that. I was just translating basically historical texts from Pravda and Izviestia about the European Union. So there's newspaper articles about that. Anyway, suffice it to say that my Russian is so rusty and poor now that it's going to be a very heavy lift to do this. But I've recently started watching another BookTube channel, Benjamin Makvo. If you haven't heard of Benjamin Makvo and you're interested in classic literature, then he's your guy. I've actually joined his Patreon, and he's got a series of lectures on lots of classics and discussions and read-alongs and external materials. It's right in my wheelhouse. And I watched a video he put out on Anna Karenina where he talked about how he is going to learn Russian so that he can read Anna Karenina. And I was like, whoa, what an incredible thing to do. Not just Anna Karenina, he wants to read War and Peace and all the others as well, I would imagine. And I'm thinking to myself, well, here am I, with a Russian degree, having lived in the country, having been fluent at one time. I do have Anna Karenina in Russian and in English. Why would I not do that? And the way that he sells it, I mean, his whole thing is about deep reading, about slow reading, about taking one's time, about rereading. And sometimes he will even go back to the beginning of a book as soon as he's finished it and read it again. I'm like, okay, this is the kind of reading I want to do. Slow reading. I don't want to be one of those booktubers who comes on with a monthly wrap-up and has 10 books. That would have been me, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Would listen to audiobooks at double speed, and I'd try and get through them, and I would set goals, and I would want my goal to increase year on year, and I would see it as a failure if I didn't achieve that goal. And then if you were to ask me, tell me about the plot, tell me about some of the characters in a book that you read last year, I would have struggled. So this is kind of why I started a BookTube channel. That's kind of the point of it, is so that I can read more closely, more deeply, more seriously, more slowly. So I think, rather than Anna Karenina, I'm going to get into some Crime and Punishment. Because it's fresh in my mind, it's not that long ago that I read it. It was a different translation, so I'm interested to compare. Although I don't have the Magarshak translation anymore. I gave it away to my daughter's boyfriend. Maybe I'll get another copy. Maybe I used one so that I can annotate it. But I expect I'll be annotating this one as well. This one perhaps not, because it's quite dear to me. I don't know. I'll decide that later. I bought this one actually in 1996 when I was in Odessa, and it's the school library edition, and it's quite cheap paper. These are the kind of books that you buy on the roadside in Odessa and in other former Soviet cities. You see these kind of bookstalls all over the place, and they're incredible. You don't see them so much in the UK. Although, having said that, I did buy a nice 3-volume set of Lord of the Rings under a bridge in London on the South Bank somewhere. So, yeah, I guess it does happen. Just not maybe in Scotland because it's always raining. Could be that. But yeah, this one is dear to me because of where I bought it and all of that. So I might not annotate it, but I'll decide as I go. Maybe I will. Wonder how Readwise will cope with this, actually. That's a good point. Do any of you use that? It's a great little app that you can use to take photos of text, and then it will OCR it for you, and then you can add it into your reading database, which is what I tend to do. That's how I roll. But anyway, you get the picture. I've explained to you what I'm going to do and why. And if you want to be here when I get through it and listen to my thoughts, subscribe, you know. I'm not promising I'll get through it anytime soon. In fact, I can almost certainly promise you that I won't. I expect this will take maybe the rest of the year. Depends how quickly the Russian starts to come back to me, I think. But yeah, I'm really excited for this. So to Benjamin McAvoy, thank you for the inspiration and the motivation. And thank you for watching this video. See you again soon. Bye. Quick wee addendum. The super observant out there will have noticed, if you've got the cloth-bound Penguin Classic Edition of Crime and Punishment, that it wasn't David Magarshak that translated it. It was David Macduff. So, sorry David Magarshak, and sorry David Macduff.